reading this.
I'm going to read it. Chapter, what are we reading? 4 and 5, right? Okay, so Jenny, today we are not reading this at bedtime because Mima is babysitting tonight and we're not 100% sure she would do the video right? Okay. So Mima's going to read library books to Sean instead, and we're going to do our 2 chapters now before Dad and I go out. All right, Chapter 4, The Great Wall. Jack and Annie ran around the farmhouse. At the back was an ox cart filled with bags of grain. There was no one in sight. The shouting behind them got louder. Jack and Annie looked at each other, then dived into the back of the wooden cart. They buried themselves in the middle of the bags of grain. Jack's heart pounded as the shouts came closer. He held his breath and waited for the people to leave. Suddenly, the cart lurched forward. Someone was driving them away. Jack and Annie peeked over the bags. Jack saw the back of the driver. He was calmly steering the ox cart over the dirt road. They were on their way to the walled city. Jack and Annie ducked down again. "This is great," whispered Annie. "All we have to do is jump out when we get to the city." And here's a picture of Jack and Annie on the ox cart for you to see. "Yep," Jack said softly. "Then we'll find the Imperial Library, find the book, and get back to the magic treehouse." "No problem," whispered Annie. Whoa! The cart slowly came to a halt. Jack held his breath. Why are my glasses on my head and not on my eyes? He heard voices and the heavy tramping of feet. Lots of feet. He and Annie peeked out. "Oh, man," he whispered. If you haven't noticed already, Jack likes to say, "oh, man," a lot. A long line of men was crossing the road in front of the cart. They carried axes, shovels, and hoes. Guards marched alongside them. "Let's find out what's happening," said Jack. He reached into his sack and pulled out the china book. Pushing his glasses into place, he found a picture of the workers. He read,
and O's. And
A's. The Dragon King forced many... You're making me giggle. The Dragon King forced many of his subjects to start building a wall to protect China from invaders. Later emperors made the wall even longer. Finally, it stretched 3,700 miles along China's border. The Great Wall of China is the longest structure ever built. "Wow, the Great Wall of China," said Jack. "I've heard of that," said Annie. "Who hasn't?" said Jack. "Those guys are going to work on it right now." Just then, someone grabbed Jack and Annie. They looked up. It was the driver of the cart. "Who are you?" he asked angrily. Jack didn't know what to say. The man's gaze fell on the open book in Jack's hands. His mouth dropped open. He let go of Jack and Annie. Slowly, he reached out and touched the book. He looked back at Jack and Annie with wide eyes. "What is this?" he asked. Chapter 5, The Scholar. "It's a book from our country," said Jack. "Your books are made of bamboo, but ours are made of paper. Actually, your country invented paper, but later, in the future." The man looked confused. "Never mind," said Annie. "It's for reading. It's for learning about faraway places." The man stared at them. Tears filled his eyes. "What's wrong?" Annie asked softly. "I love reading and learning," he said. "So do I," said Jack. The man smiled. "You don't understand. I'm dressed as a farmer," he said, "but in truth I'm a scholar." "What's a scholar?" said Annie. "We are great readers, learners, and writers," he said. "We have long been the most honored citizens in China." The scholar's smile faded. "But now scholars are in danger," he said, "and many of us have gone into hiding." "Why?" said Jack. "The Dragon King is afraid of the power of our books and learning," said the scholar. "He wants people to think only what he wants them to think. Any day he may order the burning of the books." Annie gasped.
What's the burning of the books mean?
It means they're going to burn all the books because he doesn't want people to learn new things. "Does that mean what I think it means?" said Jack. The scholar nodded. "All the books in the Imperial Library will be burned," he said. "That's rotten," said Annie. "Indeed it is," the scholar said quietly. "Who are you?" "Oops, I skipped a line. Listen, we have a mission to get a book from that library," said Jack. "Who are you?" asked the scholar. "Show him," said Annie. She reached into her shirt pocket as Jack reached into his sack. They brought out the secret library cards. The letters shimmered in the sunlight. The scholar's mouth dropped open again. "You are master librarians," he said. "I have never met ones so honored who were so young." He bowed to show his respect. "Thank you," said Jack and Annie. And here's the scholar bowing to Jack and Annie in the back of the cart. They bowed back to him. "How can I help you?" asked the scholar. "We need to go to the Imperial Library and find this book," said Jack. He held out Morgan's bamboo strip to the scholar. "We will go to the Imperial Library," said the scholar. "As for the story, I know it well. It is a true one, written not long ago. But I warn you, we will be in great danger." "We know," said Annie. The scholar smiled. "I'm happy to be doing something I believe in again," said the scholar. "Let us go." They all climbed into the front of the cart. The long line of wall builders was marching in the distance. As the oxen started forward, the scholar turned to Jack and Annie. "Where are you from?" he asked. "Frog Creek, Pennsylvania," said Annie. "I have never heard of it," said the scholar. "Do they have a library there?" "Oh, sure, there's a library in every town," said Jack. "In fact, there are probably thousands of libraries in our country." "And millions of books," said Annie, "and no one burns them." "Right," said Jack. "Everyone gets to go to school to learn to read them." The scholar stared at him and shook his head. "It sounds like paradise," he said. And that is the end of chapter 5. So let's put the Aunt Jenny bookmark back.
Do you think they're gonna take him to Frog Creek, Pennsylvania?
I don't know.
And
What do you think?
No, probably not.
You don't think so? What do you think's going to happen next?
Well, I think they're gonna go to the Dragon King. Dragon King's gonna say, "Who are you?"
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Nothing.
Is it off?
No. We haven't said goodbye to Jenny yet.
So goodbye, Jenny.
Okay. Goodbye, Jenny. We'll be bringing you 2 more chapters tomorrow night, okay?
Okay.
Say bye-bye.
Bye.
Jump off the edge of the couch. 1, 2, 3.